Hi, I'm Caroline from Film Club and I'm here in central London to interview James Marsh, who's the director of the new British thriller Shadow Dancer. And I saw the film earlier this morning, so I'm really excited to speak to him. So let's hear from the man himself. Hi James, I'm Caroline from Film Club. Thank you for talking to us today.
Nice to meet you.
I saw the film and was really gripped all the way through. Did you find it difficult to maintain this level of tension the whole way through the film?
Well, I guess it was. That's the challenge of the film in a way, because it's not a film that relies on car crashes and loud bangs every 5 minutes to hold your attention. It's a film that asks you as the audience to kind of follow this kind of treacherous story of betrayal and layers of betrayal. And to do that, I think you have to, create a story that feels like the atmosphere is very intense and the characters are under pressure even when they're not showing it. So that was our objective in a way, was to get you from the very beginning of the film and hold you in a certain level of anxiety and unease, which the characters themselves are going through. And what you do is, as audience members in this film, is you discover what the characters discover when they discover it. So you're seeing the story through their eyes. You're not privileged with an omniscient, godlike point of view in our film. You are with the characters and they're understanding what's going on, and therefore the surprises that happen to them happen to you as the audience.
So the film is set in a politically charged moment in history, but it focuses more on the characters' relationships. So why did you decide to direct this as a drama as opposed to exploring it as a documentary?
Well, I think there are actually many documentaries about the Northern Irish conflict, and there actually aren't that many films about it, given how long the conflict went on. This particular story felt like it was universal. What would we like to go home and spy on your own family? Think about that. To snoop on your mother and your father and your brothers and your sisters. What cost would that? What would that do to you every day, every morning, every evening? That felt to me to be a way into the story that wasn't really about politics or the conflict, but about human dilemmas. And the psychology of the situation was very interesting to me. That kind of betrayal. It's about as bad as it gets. It's intimate, but the betrayal of the character is, of course, is motivated by the fact that she's a mother. And so she's in an impossible situation. And I can be sure about the psychology of that, or more sure about the psychology than I can about the politics of that situation, which I don't think, as a filmmaker or a dramatist, I'm particularly well qualified to analyse or understand. I think films are good at dealing with emotions and not good at dealing with ideas. These are people that in any other situation wouldn't be acting this way, but these circumstances create these terrible predicaments for people. But I think for young people, what you can see is that, in this situation, you're born into a conflict. You have no other world that you know, and we're all born into something, into a family, into a situation. Imagine if this is your situation. You're born into a family that's at war, essentially, and you are then being asked to betray that family. We can all relate to that, and it's about a family, essentially, and it's like a spy film set in a family setup, and you can see lots of spying going on in the house. It's a domestic espionage film.
I found the performance from Andrea Riseborough quite stunning to watch. Did you do a lot of preparation with your actors, or did you just leave them to do their own interpretation of the roles?
Very much the latter, not because I'm lazy, because I'm not an actor. I don't know anything about acting. So what I do know is I know what actors I like to work with, what actors I think will be good in my film. And once I cast them, I really give them the burden of interpreting that character. Of course, we talk a lot about it. You talk around it every time you're filming and before we start filming. I like to trust actors. I cast them because I think they're great, and I want to keep out of their way. And if there's a problem, I will help to try and solve that problem with them. But generally speaking, the casting is the thing for me. I cast actors that I both want to work with and often like as people, and therefore we have a good time making my films.
Speaking of actors and scripts, when you're reading a script, what is it that attracts you to the film? And in this way, what made you think, with Shadow Dancer, I want to direct this film?
Well, I really like stories, both as a documentary filmmaker and a narrative filmmaker. I just really like narrative. And so this has a very surprising story in it. It has a story that's about, we've talked about betrayal and treachery and deception, also that what you're seeing isn't quite what you're seeing. There's something else going on here that increasingly becomes more and more malignant as the film goes on. A feature film with characters you can relate to, whether it's in French or in English or German or whatever else. When I was younger, I would go and see terrible horror movies, but then eventually I'd see something like Taxi Driver. That was an amazing revelation to me, because I wanted to see sex and violence and nudity and bad things on screen, but occasionally you see something that was really brilliant. And then you realise there's a whole other world of storytelling and filmmaking out there that as young people you can discover. There are classic films, there are old films, there are contemporary films, and I just would love it that a love of cinema can take you to more interesting parts of cinematic culture, not just your blockbusters.
So for all the film clubbers at home that are aspiring to be directors, what would you say are the essential qualities for being a successful director?
Well, I would say that curiosity and perseverance are the two things that I find myself, calling upon every project I make, is you have to persevere to make something, because there are many pitfalls along the way of getting someone to give you a few million quid to make a movie. Curiosity about the world, about people. It's actually much easier to make a film with lots of car crashes and loud bangs in it, is to make something that actually is thoughtfully about people and enlightening about people. That's a different proposition.
Well, thank you very much for speaking to us. Good luck with Shadow Dance. I'm sure everyone else will enjoy it as I did. And thank you for letting us speak to you. Well, I had an incredible time talking to James. Shadow Dancer was brilliant, so if you do want to see it, then check the Film Club website for details. I'm Caroline, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!